Using projects correctly is one of the most impactful things you can do in Claude Chat. In a regular Claude chat, every conversation starts fresh. It has some basic memories and preferences, but for specific tasks, you might find yourself constantly having to re-explain everything in each chat. Things like, I'm a product marketer at this company, and I'm working on a new product that does something specific. Or maybe you're constantly having to put the same reference material in every chat, like brand guidelines or slide decks. That's where projects come in. A project is a dedicated, self-contained workspace with its own memory, chat history, knowledge bases, and customized instructions. And they're best used for projects. Whether that's an ongoing piece of work you're managing solo, or something you're collaborating on with a team and want everyone working from the same foundation and sharing context. To give you some ideas, maybe you're managing a client account and every time you chat to Claude, you're uploading the same brand guidelines and re-explaining the same tone of voice. That's a perfect use case for a project. Or maybe you're constantly asking questions about a topic and want Claude to always be preloaded with the right documents and have a certain understanding about it. Or your team is working on a product launch and everyone needs access to the same positioning docs, competitor research, and messaging framework. This would be the perfect use case for a shared project. Let's see what a project actually looks like. In practice, a project is quite simple and only has three main parts: instructions, a knowledge base, and its own memory. And besides that, a chat inside a project feels just like a regular chat, except everything is completely isolated. The instructions, knowledge, and memory in this project don't get shared into anything else, and nothing else gets shared into here. Okay, now let's actually go and make one. And by the end of this, you'll be setting one up for yourself. In this example, I'm going to build a project that I'll use as a research hub for Claude's features. I want to be able to ask Claude anything about how Claude works, what features exist, how they've changed, when to use what, and get accurate, up-to-date answers without having to re-upload documentation every time. I'm on Claude Desktop here, but Claude.ai, the website, will work exactly the same way. Projects live right here in the left navbar. I'll click in, then hit New Project in the top right. I'll give it a name. Let's say Claude Features Expert, and a quick description. In this case, I'll say a reference hub for understanding Claude's features, capabilities, and best practices. It's good practice to make these names and descriptions fairly self-explanatory, so that if you share it with your wider team, or if you have multiple projects, you can easily see what each one is for. Finally, we can select our visibility. I can either select My Organization, which allows everyone in my organization to view or use this project, or I can make it private, so only I can see it initially, and I can always invite members to view and use the project later on. We'll get deeper into how sharing works shortly. Cool, let's get into the two most important parts of building a great project: instructions and the knowledge base. We'll start with instructions. These tell Claude how to behave across all conversations in this project and work alongside your user preferences and styles. Think of these instructions as the brief Claude reads before every single conversation in this project, and it can shape how Claude thinks and responds. When writing out instructions, you might include things like context about what this project is. For example, something like, this project is for creating marketing copy for my business-facing software product. Or you might include tone and style preferences. For example, use a professional but conversational tone. This is for a non-technical consumer, so avoid technical jargon. Or you could include specific requirements or even desired outcomes. There's no strict template here. Think about everything you want Claude to know going into every chat that you create in this project. And like any good prompt, the more specific you are, the better the output. Project instructions are rarely perfect on the first time, and that's fine. You can always refine them as you keep using the project and notice things you want to adjust. And there's actually a really nice technique where you can ask Claude to update its own instructions based on the feedback you've given it. I'll show you that in a moment. Let's actually build out some simple project instructions. In this case, I'll say, this project is a reference hub for Claude's features and capabilities. When I ask it about a feature, give me a clear, practical explanation, and always cite which document you're drawing from. If something might be outdated, flag it. Before we save our instructions, we can also add tools. Here, we can give Claude access to certain tools or connectors that we wanted to use in this project. We'll leave these out for now. Now let's set up the knowledge base. This is the other half of what makes a project powerful. It's where you upload files you want Claude to reference. In here, you might have things like reference documents, brand guidelines, research related to this project, or examples of work you want Claude to emulate. You can also link your Google Drive or other sources of data here too. For this project, I'll upload a few things, like recent release notes from Anthropic, Anthropic's Help Center articles on key features, or my own notes from testing different features. As a quick tip here, try to name your files descriptively. Claude actually uses file names to understand what's in each document. So something descriptive is going to work much better than document1.pdf. One really cool thing about projects is that you can load a lot into this knowledge base. Thousands of pages or dozens of different documents. So feel free to upload whatever you think is relevant to that project. Now let's put this to work. I'll start a chat and actually ask something. What's the difference between regular web search and research mode? When would I use each? Okay, so Claude's pulled from the right documents and is clearly specifying them, but the answer is way too long. I just want a quick, practical comparison, so I'll give it some feedback. This is too detailed. Keep answers shorter and more direct. I just want the key differences and when I'd pick one over the other. Better, but it's using the American spelling, and I don't like these M dashes. So I'll tell it, use British spelling throughout and avoid M dashes. Great. Now these answers look much better to me. But here's the important bit. These fixes only apply to this conversation. If I start a new chat tomorrow, Claude will make the same mistakes again because the project instructions haven't changed. This is where iteration comes in. Good projects are rarely perfect straight away. And that's fine. So I'll ask Claude to update them based on the feedback I've been giving. I'll say, based on this conversation and the feedback I've given you, how would you update the project instructions to get this right from the start in future chats? Show me the updated version. Then I'll review it and update my project instructions with these new ones. Now let me show you why this matters. I'll start a brand new chat inside the same project. And right out of the gate, it's concise with British spelling and no unnecessary preamble. Every new conversation in this project now starts from that stronger foundation. And this is something you'll keep doing over time. Every now and then you'll notice something that's not quite right. So you'll correct it and you'll update the instructions, and the project will get better the more you use it. The other thing that keeps a project useful is keeping the knowledge base current. When new documentation comes out or you discover something through testing, drop new files in or update existing ones. This way, the project can get more knowledge and get more valuable as you keep using it. It's important to know that if you're updating a certain file, make sure that you delete the old one when you put the new one in. Otherwise, Claude could get confused by both versions of the same file. So that's how to set up and work inside a project. Now, if you're on a team or enterprise plan, you have access to sharing, which allows you to share any project with colleagues. So instead of multiple people on your team or in your workplace setting up their own version of the same thing, you can build one project with the right instructions, the right knowledge base, and the right foundation, and everyone can work from that. When you share, there are 3 permission levels that control who can do what in your project. Can view members can view project contents, access knowledge and chat, but can't make changes to the project. Can edit members, can modify instructions, update knowledge, manage members, and actively contribute to the project. Project creators control everything, and they can decide who sees the project so they can share with specific people or make private projects visible to the entire organization. Keep in mind, project sharing is currently only available on team and enterprise plans, and projects can't be shared outside your organization. If we go into the project sidebar and you're on a team or enterprise plan, you'll see 3 tabs. Your projects, which is everything you've created. Team, which are projects that are shared with your whole organization. And shared with you, which are projects that someone has shared with you specifically. Whenever this happens, you'll also receive an email notification. All right, that's projects. Now, before you move on, take a few minutes to actually go and build one. For now, just get started. You'll refine it as you go anyway. Think about a piece of work where you're constantly re-uploading the same docs or re-explaining the same context, and set up a project for it. Give it a name, write some simple instructions, and upload your key files. Then have a few chats and see how it goes. If something's not right, you can refine the instructions or the knowledge base and keep going. Pause here and do that now.